This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Josh Apter is the founder and president of Manhattan Edit Workshop. This is a training company based in New York City. He's also the go-to guy for all editing news in New York, and he's going to be hosting the upcoming MuShop Sight, Sound, and Story Workshop. Josh, what does the Manhattan Edit Workshop do?
Well, we do a brick-and-mortar version in a way of what you do in your Final Cut training videos. We teach people the art and technique of film editing. We're an Apple, Avid, Adobe, Autodesk, and Blackmagic authorized training center in Flatiron. So we started off sort of just doing the Apple Final Cut Pro thing and have now blossomed into picture, sound, graphic design, you name it, and just keep on growing. So I couldn't be happier.
Well, that's, I think, a really important point. One of the things that we saw was a huge shift in the market probably 5 years ago, where people just didn't want to show up for face-to-face training. They wanted to have more online and watch it at their own time. How are you getting people to come and attend training for instructor-led classes?
I think it's the fact that the instructors are all naked when they train. I think that's a huge draw. And all grossly overweight. It's horrible. No, I've always been a fan, and the way that I learned personally was I really needed to lock myself in a room, turn off the phone, the internet, and just really focus on training. I tried learning things from DVDs and books and whatnot, and I'm too easily distracted. And I do think there are people out there for whom learning online and learning, from a book and these sort of things are great. I use them as reference materials. When I need to learn a specific thing, I can look it up, and there's always the answer on the internet. But for me, in terms of the core training, the instructor-led experience and the total immersion of just spending the time, I always feel like that is its own reward, and the concepts catch on so much more quickly that way and stick.
Josh, I know you like to learn. Do you sit in on some of the classes that you actually give at the Manhattan Workshop?
I try to. I've been trying to take Warren Eagle's Resolve class for
he's
about
the best.
2 years. He's the greatest, and I still haven't been able to sit in on his class. More actually because more often than not it's full, and there really isn't a seat for me. We can only put so many people in the class. We have a very strict student-to-teacher ratio, and I will get in there someday. But I try. You know what I mean? I really try to learn as much as I can about the software we're training in, because I do feel like I have to kind of keep up on it. But I am falling behind. I should be honest about that.
Well, I think you have small children to take care of too, as well as run a business.
Yeah, there's a mess of kids, 2 companies, you name it. And Michael, you'll be happy to know I'm almost locked on 8 episodes of an original series that I started in the fall, and I'll let you know when it's ready to watch. It's finally out there being creative again.
Finally, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's great. I'm so proud of you.
I remember 2 years ago, Mike, you were beating up on him.
I beat up on him every time we have his guest because he's such a talented guy and he needs to be doing this kind of stuff. And great, Josh. I'm proud of you.
So, Josh, stop having a life and let's get out there and start to direct stuff in the evening and then run the business during the day. I think that's really
exactly what he's been doing, probably.
If only I didn't have to sleep, I think we'd have something here.
Well, what is it that Bruce Nazarian said? Bruce Nazarian said, "We sleep when we're dead." And
yeah,
I've taken that as a motto in my own life.
Well, I mean, in this economy, you just can't survive on one job. You need 4. So, and Josh is proving that.
What's the hot training right now? What are people wanting to learn?
Well, and I think you might be able to back me up on this. Final Cut is staging a weird bit of a comeback. I don't know if you found that, on your side that it's growing in popularity, but I think the dust has settled, and people who were initially very angry and looking the other way are getting a sense from the professional community of just how fast it is. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily new. The software is not. 10.2 is certainly a new version of it. But we're finding more and more people going back to SCP training now. I think Resolve is proving itself to be an amazing product, and with a version 12 coming this summer that has an even more robust editor, I think we're going to find a lot of people interested in using that as maybe a single solution for post and grading.
We've seen the same thing starting about a year ago. There was a groundswell after the 10.1 update. Really is what turned the switch, and we've seen a lot of people interested in our training that really have come new to the platform. So we're seeing the same thing online as well. As you look at the New York environment, we've talked about what training is hot, and you mentioned the Final Cut Resurgence and Resolve. But what skills are in demand? If somebody wants to move to New York and earn a living, what are people hiring?
If you can carry a giant tray with about 8 plates of entrees on them, you're going to do just fine. No, I think, and some of our graduates from our 6-week program have been talking about this now and this hasn't really changed. When people are looking for editors, they're looking for someone who can edit and do color grading and do sound design and do After Effects and this whole kind of all-in-one solution. It's really like they're looking for this superhuman who doesn't exist, nor do I personally think they should. You guys are from the generation of editors who there was a sound editor, there was there were color correction people, and these departments where you had skilled experts in each discipline brought their skill set to the project. And I think so much of it now is collapsed into one person, or at least the expectation, that I think that's what we're finding, is people are looking for this all-in-one solution. And of course, the paycheck hasn't gone up for it either.
But producers have always wanted the fewest number of people to work as cheaply as possible, but there's a benefit to the team approach in that you get a higher skill set to work with. But not everybody is good at color grading or audio mixing. How do you deal with the stress that puts on the editor when leading into something they don't really know, say audio mixing, they start to create bad work?
Yeah, and what we teach in our 6-week class, because these are people who are really, studying, they're taking 6 weeks out of their life to study, the technique, the aesthetics, the history, and we do address the basics of sound design for picture editors, which is laying out your tracks in an organized way, light EQ, laying down beds of ambience. They're basic things that I think any picture editor would be expected to do now, because when you're screening a rough cut, I still think there's the expectation that it's a full experience. You don't want somebody to get pulled out because there's a sound effect missing, or the ambience changes from cut to cut in a dialogue scene. So there are those things that I think those are necessary. But even then, when you bring it to someone who really does sound design and you hear what they do and how they elevate the experience, it's like night and day. And that's where I feel like the divide is. You really shouldn't be trying to take something all the way to air or to release as a picture editor.
As we look at New York and the media industry in New York, the very first thing that comes to mind is commercials, and the second is news and live television. How would you describe the state of the media industry in New York? Is it growing, holding its own, hanging on by its fingernails? How would you describe it?
Well, as long as there is a reality show about food or tattoos or cars, you're going to find work in New York. It's a big, big reality town. And obviously, yes, it's a big news town too. But there's, the reality industry is really booming here. And, New York's tax credits are better than they've ever been. So you're finding more TV and film that are not only shooting here, but getting tax credits to post here. So, I think it's a real sort of, resurgence. I think it's actually been better the last 2-3 years. It's getting better and better every year.
Really?
Let's hear it for tax credits.
And reality shows, you're not cheering me up here, Guy. Good gracious.
Well, it's a great training ground for any sort of editing, I think. I mean, cutting nonfiction is, its own discipline, its own, skill set. But I think that you can really apply some of that to any kind of editing. So, I think it's all valuable. You can learn from cutting, weddings and, and bar mitzvahs, things like that, if you're really looking at it the right way.
Do you watch reality television? Do you have a favorite reality television series that you are loyal to and you watch all the time?
No, I wish. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I think I carve out enough time to watch Mad Men, and or what's left of it. I'm so sad it's almost over. But no, I actually don't watch reality TV, and I'm not sorry, actually.
No, I don't. No, I love talking about reality TV. Sorry, Larry, but it's I think the editors on reality television, especially the good ones, especially some of the network television ones, do such a good job of holding our attention through these really goofy contests that they deserve a lot of credit.
My sense is if you can find a story in reality television, then you're a superior editor right there.
You know, exactly. These people take a lot of stuff and turn it into a story, and it's incredible.
Josh, we've got a couple.
Yeah, there was a series. I'm sorry, what's that?
No, you first.
We had an artist in residence in our last class who cut an episode. She got a few episodes of a reality series about a New York emergency room, I believe at New York Presbyterian. And it was incredible in that, yeah, they had to find the story of the doctor. They had to find these dramatic stories about patients and lay out these story arcs. And you don't know what you're getting. It wasn't one of these things where it was a scripted, one of these like half scripted, asking to reenact this or do this again. It was really, they got what they got and they had to work with that material. It was amazing. It felt much more like documentary than it did like reality. So I agree. I think when it's done right, it can be really effective.
Josh, one of the questions on our live chat, Caesar's asking whether you find that your students, in addition to having post skills, also need to shoot or need to produce. Are we looking more at a predator market or more of an all-in-one editor market?
I mean, fewer of our students are looking to become, go into that predator market. We do teach production classes. And most of the people in those, or at least back in the sort of DSLR revolution days, tended to be still photographers looking to, learn that new skill that they could offer on the job. But I've still found that more people are sticking with one, either a post because they really love the idea of post. They're not people who want to be out on set necessarily or on location. And then people in production are the ones that love going out there and capturing that moment. So I've actually still found a fair division between those.
I want to shift gears. One of the things that you do in addition to offering formal training is you put on workshops, which is beyond what the school itself does. And one of those that you've got coming up in June is the Sight, Sound, and Story workshop. Can you tell us what that is? And even if you can't lie, but what is it?
I think I can try. It's, a one-day symposium / bonanza of, the experience of editing and talking about craft, watching people's work, edits as they evolve from rough cut to fine cut, and really what the editor's process is through, these intimate discussions. And so we've done it the past 3 years as Sight, Sound, and Story, and then before that, we did it for 4 years with American Cinema Editors, co-producing EditFest New York. So this is really, it's been something. It's been a regular stop on, in June for the editing community on the East Coast.
Tell us about some of the panels. Who have you got? What subjects are you covering, and who do you have scheduled?
Well, we like to mix it up every year, so we hope to, give a new look every time we do it. We're moving to a new venue at the New York Institute of Technology. It's a beautiful, beautiful theater right off Columbus Circle. And as you were talking about reality, we actually are going to do a reality TV panel. So Ink Master, Mob Wives, Best Funeral Ever, and Teen Mom are of interest to you guys. Let me know. I can introduce you to the editors. We do a documentary panel every year. We're lucky enough to have the editors of The Jinx, Going Clear, Cartel Land, Knuckleball. I mean, some of these people that, I've seen these films, and to me, these are like my celebrities. I get a little starstruck around them, and so to be able to talk to, Andy Grieve about putting Going Clear together, to me is like, I can't even imagine the questions I'd ask. We're doing a television panel talking about, how that's evolved into sort of this major new storytelling form. We've got Michael Berenbaum, who's a regular for us. He cut The Americans. He's going to moderate. We've got American Horror Story, Masters of Sex, The Sopranos, Ray Donovan, and Sesame Street, believe it or not.
Yeah, Jesse Averna. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jesse Averna, our good buddy. He's going to be coming in and talking about what it's like to win every Emmy possible for Sesame Street. And then our old pal Bobby Osteen's coming back, Inside the Cutting Room with Bobby Osteen panel. She's going to have a long conversation with William Goldenberg, who, he's been Michael Mann's editor, I believe, since Heat. And then, Argo, Imitation Game, Zero Dark 30. Guys really got a lot of amazing stories to tell.
Take a breath. Is this, you've got an, okay, stop breathing now. You've got an A-list group of people at the show. Is this somebody that only high-level professionals should attend, or you only have seats for like 20 people, or who should attend this?
Actually, we get a very interesting mix of professionals and, colleagues, contemporaries of these editors. And then we have people who are coming from schools who are, studying, they're film students or students specifically of editing, who look at this as this is a real treat for them to, you can't learn some of this in a textbook. The actual interaction, and of course to watch the scenes evolve in the clips that they show is, it's a very educational experience for people. And so we have students to film geeks and movie buffs to, their colleagues who are coming to support them at these events. And
how are you pricing it?
Well, for you guys, we're pricing it differently. The general admission cost is $89, but I believe with the code BUZZ15, don't quote me on that, I better find out what it is, because I asked Jason before I got on the call tonight what the code is. It's BUZZ15, lowercase, BUZZ15, and that'll get you in for $20 off.
Wow.
And that also includes like an open bar and networking party. It's got booze and food, and that closes the show this year. So it's all the cheap wine you can drink, and all these panels for that price.
That is very cool. The code is BUZZ15, BUZZ15, and it's $89 for people that are not clued into the discount, and that's an amazing lineup of speakers.
That's so cheap.
Michael, how come you don't have your super meets that cheap?
Yeah, why don't I have those super meets that cheap? That's why we don't make any money on the super meets there, Larry. Because we're not as smart as Josh.
That's it. Josh, where can people go on the web to learn more about where to sign up and register?
Sure. Well, it's very easy. SightSoundAndStory.com. Lay out the entire thing, gives you the schedule of events, location, how to register, all the particulars, and a brand new intro video that we just finished about a week or so ago. That I have to tell you, the guys at the office did a great job.
And
really,
Josh,
really beautiful piece.
Josh, thank you. That's SightSoundAndStory.com. Josh Apter is the founder and president of the Manhattan Edit Workshop and sponsor of Sight, Sound, and Story. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye-bye.